Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me again today. It's a beautiful day in the Midwest. The sun is shining. Not as warm as it was yesterday, so it's a good day to do some recycling in the kitchen. I'm so glad you joined me. What I thought we would do today is I had some leftover bananas, and I thought we would make the easiest banana muffin recipe that I've ever found. Okay, so let's get started. And I'm going to move you down just a little bit so you can watch. There we go. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is mash your bananas, just leftover bananas. And I think I have 1.5, but you can use as many as 3. So you'll just take those, break them up into small pieces. Take your handy dandy masher and squish it. There you go. You always want to make sure your work area is clean and you've washed your hands and that your dog is not at your feet where you'll trip over him, which is what I have to check on all the time. Now, after we have our mashed bananas, we're going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 egg that's slightly beaten. So I'm going to do that. Just stir it up a little bit here. And 1/3 cup of melted butter, which is in my microwave. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to mix that up a little bit with our mixer. Just until it's all mixed together. Now it's going to be lumpy, as you can see, because of the banana chunks, and that's okay. So now we're going to add a teaspoon of baking soda. Better get my spoons. All right. There we go. Teaspoon of baking powder. This really is the easiest recipe I've ever found. Always turns out my grandkids love it. 1/2 teaspoon salt. You can forego the salt if you need to. There we go. And 1.5 cups flour. So now that I have that in, we're going to mix her up again. You can see it's doughy. I'm just trying to get everything mixed up good. I don't have a fancy food processor. I just have this old mixer. Okay, bring this up a little. There you go. And then once you have it all mixed up, if you'd like, you could add walnuts or chocolate chips. I think today we're going to add chocolate chips. There we go. You can add 1/2 cup of whatever you have on hand. Let's get rid of these. And then we're just going to stir it up. As you can see, it's pretty thick. So again, that's anywhere from 1.5 to 3 bananas, 3/4 cup sugar, 1 egg, slightly beaten, 1/3 cup melted butter. Then you're going to add 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a half a teaspoon salt, and 1.5 cups flour. You want to preheat your oven to 375. And if you want to add walnuts or chocolate chips, feel free to do that. You guys, I hope you're like me in your kitchen and you use your fingers. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our batter to our greased muffin pans. I've already greased these. I want to give you a tip on that too. Just if you have an old can of Crisco, just leave a paper towel in there all the time. And when you want to grease your muffin tins, it's ready. And you just leave it in there all the time. Makes it easy. You're not wasting paper towels every time or getting it all over your fingers. So I'm putting about a tablespoon of the dough in each one of these muffin cups. What's your guys' favorite muffin recipe? I know a lot of people just love blueberry muffins, and I do too. But I really like oatmeal muffins too. I like something that's going to stick to me in the morning, so I'm not hungry again in an hour or so. This is a great way to use leftover bananas. And you guys, you can also put this into a bread pan and make banana bread. Super, super easy. You would just stick a knife in it. After the baking time for muffins is 20 minutes, just a little bit longer if you're going to do bread. Stick a knife in it and make sure it's done before you take it out. There you go. And this makes 12. Nice even dozen. Who does not love muffins? Okay. That sounds like the oven's ready. So now, if you guys are country like me, you're going to take your finger and you're going to swirl it so that it gets all over the muffin cup and has a nice, pretty little top. I also learned years ago, when you're baking bread or cake, muffins, that if you let them sit in the pan for just a couple minutes before you put them in the oven, it helps them rise a little more than just putting them right in the oven. I think it levels it out and it gets some of the oxygen out of the batter. I don't really know the scientific explanation for that, but I know it does work. There. There we go. Marshall's having a nice lazy day laying in the sun by the door. There we go. The birds are singing outside. Haven't seen my first robin yet. My dad said he saw quite a few out in his yard, though, but I've not seen one. There you go. Now you see how they look after I've smushed them with my finger. Okay, so I'm going to let them sit over here a minute before I put them in the oven. Now I've already preheated my oven to 375. There we go. Clean this up a little bit. And then I wanted to talk to you guys about a few other kitchen recycling things that I'm working on. So let me move this back up. There I am. Okay, I'm going to put these in the oven, and they're going to be in there for 20 minutes. Okay? So let's set my timer. Okay, won't take long at all. We talked the other day about spring coming. I can't wait. And so I've thought about this since last year. I started off a lot of my seeds in egg containers, little egg cartons. I also kept the jars and the cans and stuff that like frosting came in, anything that would, I was going to throw away. Problem is they were never quite big enough. On my plants, I'd start them off from seeds, outgrew the peat pots. I guess they're not really peat, but outgrow them. So I thought there's got to be a way I can, without spending a lot of money, that I can make my own. Something biodegradable, a little bigger, would hold the seeds longer, and then I can just put them in the dirt. So I'm going to make biodegradable pots for my seedlings this year, and I'm hoping you're going to join me. So what I've been doing is saving my egg cartons, particularly these cardboard ones. Aren't those nice? They're just too nice to throw away. And I use them for craft projects too. So I'll have to show you some craft projects that I've done around Easter time with the cartons. Keep your toilet paper rolls. I mean, these come in handy for this kind of thing too. You can make 4th of July firecrackers out of them, put candy in them at Christmas time, and they look really cute, and all kinds of things you can do with toilet paper rolls too. But we're going to, and this is just like paper mache. So I've already done some. So you're just going to tear up your egg carton into little pieces, or your toilet paper rolls into like strips. Okay? Just strip it down. Remember we did this in school? What we used to do, blow up a balloon or something. Blow up a balloon and then make this mess and put it all over the balloons and then pop the balloon. I'm making piñatas, that's what we were doing. And then you would take tissue paper and put it on the end of a pencil and put a little bit of glue and then stick the tissue paper all over the balloon and make a piñata, and it was really cute. We might need to do that, you guys, for Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th. What the hell? Have a margarita too. Okay, so let's tear up these strips. Here we go. Egg cartons, a little tougher, but not really. They're just cardboard. Actually, these are recycled too, so see, we're recycling twice. And just tear it into strips. Little chunks. Now, after you've done that, we're going to add water. We're going to cover it at about an inch top. And we're going to let it soak for 24 hours. So this project we're going to finish on my next video. Okay, I just wanted to get you guys started. You can use paper bags. You can use newspapers, anything that's not shiny. You don't want to use a magazine. You don't want to use those flyers that come in the mail. Nothing shiny. They're not biodegradable. So let's use stuff that's going to go back into the earth and enrich it. Here we go. These are a little more difficult, but I found you just try to stay down the middle with it and then push them inside out. See, it's not that hard. Here we go. What are you guys doing today? It's a nice day, isn't it? You know, I think it's real important that we stay off our phones, unless we're talking to somebody. We stay on the news just long enough to see the world's events and then click it off. Stay off those reality shows. They're not reality. And get busy at home. I work. Yeah, I work full time. I'm just like a majority of you. Work full time, and I do this for fun in my spare time. Because I don't want to work forever. I want to retire. And I want to have money in savings. And I absolutely love doing stuff that makes me feel like I've contributed to saving the earth and to our little insects and little animals. And hope you guys do too. I think you do, or you wouldn't be watching. Okay. I've saved quite a few, so I'm going to have quite a few. I'll probably give some to my mom. Which, by the way, my biological mom was not much on cooking, you know. So she didn't teach me a whole lot. I grew up in the 60s, and back then we had a lot of, that's when TV dinners came out. So we had a lot of TV dinners and things like that. But she tried to cook. She tried, and every now and then she'd come up with something good. And then when my mom passed away, my stepmom took over. And now she's little Sally Homemaker, so she knows how to can, garden, recycle, all that kind of stuff. So she taught me during my teenage years and as a young woman. And then there's a lot of stuff you can just learn online by reading. I got a couple of funny stories I remembered the other day I thought I'd share with you guys. They're kind of embarrassing, but it's true. As a young mom, I had a little peach tree out in my yard. That peach tree just flourished. Peaches just everywhere. And I didn't know what to do with them. But I wanted to do something spectacular and, you know, really impress everybody. So I called my mom and I said, what can I do with these peaches? My stepmom. And she said, well, the easiest thing to do is just freeze them. And I thought, oh yeah, that is easy. I'll freeze them. You know, I didn't ask her to go into detail. She was probably at work. So that's what I did. I got a hefty garbage bag and I washed them and threw them in the hefty garbage bag, put them in my freezer. Well, when we had company, I decided that we were going to have ice cream and peaches. So I go downstairs in the basement, and I pulled the garbage bag of peaches out that were clinking together like bowling balls. And I almost didn't get them up the basement stairs. They were so heavy. And everybody's staring at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know what's the matter with my peaches. Nobody's going to want them. I wanted to have ice cream and peaches. Well, I think we went to Dairy Queen for dessert. Then, now see, you really need directions and detail. There was another time I made the best. Now, I was in my 20s, okay? Now, when I was a young girl, I didn't have any interest at all. And my stepmom would try to teach me. I didn't care about it. And my daughters are the same way, but they were when they were younger. But I'll tell you, they can outcook me now that they're women. They love these cooking shows and newfangled instruments. See, like I still don't have, but they have the dehydrators and the really nice mixers and all that kind of stuff. That I don't have. Bread machines and it does make it easier to cook. And if that's what's going to get you through it, so you don't spend as much money on food, that's what you should do. I'm just used to the old stuff, and I like to keep it something I'm comfortable with. I did try a bread machine once, and I got the paddle stuck in my bread dough. Didn't know it. Bit into it. See, it's just best. It's for me, being the klutz I am, it's just best to stick with the simple stuff. Oh, anyway, so with the soup, so I made the best vegetable soup ever. I did not want to waste a drop, so I wanted to can it. And so that's what I thought you did. I thought you put it in a jelly jar, a ball jar, and you put a lid on it. And so that's what I did. I thought that was canning. So I canned it, put it in the cupboard, and then very cold day. My husband been outside working all day, and I said, let's have some soup. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Soup and grilled cheese. So he starts taking a bite or two, and he said, this tastes funny to me. And, of course, by golly, I'm going to eat every last bite because that's my soup. And how dare you say it tastes funny? So I did. I'm like, it tastes good to me. It tastes great to me. I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't finish it. I did. Spent the rest of the night growing up. Sicker than a dog. You know, that was dumb. That was dumb. But when someone said, you just can them, you know, I'm like, hey, I'll just can. That's easy. You know, so I'm hoping, I'm no Paula Deen, you guys, but I'm hoping with what I've learned, I've been married over 40 years, that I can teach you a thing or two. So I hope so. Either that or make you laugh. All right, so cut up my paper. I've got quite a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to cover it with water. Just until it's about an inch over the top. This is really going to soak up the water too, by the way. This is a fun project. You know, you can make those. I've seen on Etsy they sell seed bombs. This is how they do it. It's paper mache and they stick seeds in it. All right. So after you've added your water, you're going to push it all down like we're washing in those old-time washing machines. My aunt had one of those ringer washer when I was a little girl. I used to be scared to go down in her basement because it was always dark. And she had that old ringer washing machine, and I was like, good Lord, how do they not get their fingers and their arms stuck in those things? You know, they had to back in those days. But anyway, she didn't. Thank goodness she still has both of her limbs. All right, so there's our mess. So we're going to let it sit for 24 hours, and next time we get together, we're going to make them into peat pots, okay? So let that soak. Next thing I wanted to talk to you about was coffee grounds. So as I've been, you know, guys, this always happens in the month of March. So in March, I'm getting ready for spring. I'm doing my spring cleaning. I'm getting my garden planned out. I'm doing what I can to make it a garden that is all natural, okay? And so one of the things I do is I dry out my coffee filters. So I just take them out of my coffee maker, put them on paper towels or a paper plate, let them dry. It only takes 24 hours or so. Then when they're dry, it just looks like coffee again. But it's not. It's kind of gone through a process. And as it composts in here and I add more and more and more, it becomes organic matter again, just like what it came from. And so I'll take this and I'll put some of it in my pots. I'll sprinkle some of it in my dirt, and it's really, really good for your garden. So give that a try too. One other thing. Don't throw away your pretty filters either. Once you have dried out your coffee on your coffee filters, and you dump your coffee filters into your little jar or can, wherever you keep them, you won't believe how pretty that filter is. And I've taken those filters and you just rinse them off. Not really good, just, you don't want the color to go, just rinse them off a little bit. Let them dry, and you can make flowers out of them for the fall. They're really, really pretty. Different kinds of craft things. You can use them in crafts as paper. So keep those too. Don't throw them away. So start saving your coffee grounds. Start saving your eggshells. So I've got eggshells all over my counter. And so you're going to crack them and see they still have the membrane in them. So we're going to rinse them out. Just take your finger, swirl them around a little bit. There you go. Put them on a paper plate or a paper towel to dry. I have a couple more. Those muffins are starting to smell good, you guys. Wish you could have them with me. We'd have a glass of milk and some muffins. There we go. One more. Now what I'm going to do is, after these have dried, which will be tomorrow, I'm just going to take them and crush them into little bitty pieces, save them in a coffee can, and put some of them in the bottom of my peat containers. They're so good for your garden, you guys. They have calcium in them. So let's do this too. Do you know that, well, okay, here's another thing, you guys. We're going to have a real adventure. I want to get chickens this spring. Do you know you feed these back to your chickens? Yes. I guess the calcium makes their eggs keep from breaking and stuff. Isn't it amazing? Well, we're going to find out. We'll see how amazing it is. All right, so I washed those out. And I'm just going to let them dry. There we go. Now, what about these banana peels? What do you think we ought to do with those? Just throw them in the trash? No. We're going to save them for compost, okay? So find a container. You guys, I keep everything from cottage cheese containers. That's how, wasn't there a comedian one time that said, you know you're a redneck if your Tupperware looks like cottage cheese containers? That's me. So I just have a little container here that I kept from who knows where. And I'm going to put my banana peels in it. Oh, my hands are wet. Let's see if I can. My dog sees something outside. We almost had an emergency last night because I went to let Marshall out just in time that there was a deer under my bird feeder. There we go. And he was wanting to chase it. I don't like him chasing the deer. I love deer. All right, so I'm putting my banana peels in here. You can also just add your coffee grounds straight to this if you want to. Your eggshells straight to this if you want to. A lid so it doesn't smell. Keep it on your kitchen counter. And that's how we're going to start our compost. Right in the kitchen. Did you know you could have your own compost bin in your kitchen? So what can you put in it? You're going to put your leftover food in there. So if you make a salad and you've cut up your vegetables, your lettuce, what you don't like the end of it or something, you're going to put it in here. You peel your fruit, you peel your vegetables, you're going to put those peels in here. Coffee grounds, eggshells, anything like that, okay, that is can biodegrade, okay? So that's what you want to put in here. And then once a week, you're just going to stir it up so it gets mushy and all mixed together. And then you're going to go dump it on your garden. But if you keep a lid on it, it won't smell, okay? The whole point of what we're working on now is getting our garden ready, kind of like to give birth, just like a mom. You know how a mom, you have to give her vitamins and try to get her to drink a lot of milk, a lot of calcium, and a lot of protein so she has a healthy baby. You have to do that with the garden too. You have to feed it and you have to nurture it and make sure it's getting the vitamins and the minerals and things that it needs. You'll see a huge difference. You should have seen my corn last year, my Indian corn. It was huge, but I had worked and worked and worked on feeding it and building it up. Straw is good. You can feed straw into your garden. Leaves are excellent. You don't want to put a whole bunch of leaves on, you guys, because I read that they have acid in them of some kind. So, but you can't put leaves on it. You can use that as mulch. I just wouldn't overdo it. Okay, from what I've read, it can actually kill your plants. It's acidic. Same with pine needles. You can use a little bit to mulch. You don't want to overdo it. I have an abundance of pine trees out here. And that's what I was going to do. I was going to use those at first to mulch until I started reading your leaves and your pine needles and things like that aren't the best to use because of their acidity. Okay, see, we learn as we go, right? All right, so we've got about 30 seconds before the muffins come out of the oven. So let me get my mitts. Another recycling tip, you guys, something I no longer buy are washcloths. So what I do instead is my towels, when they start getting raggedy, I rip them up into squares and just use those. They last as long as a washcloth, and those washcloths are pretty, but you only get 3 or 4, and they're like $5 a pack, and it's like, forget it, I'll just use my old towels. Or go to a garage sale, buy some old towels, cut them up, okay? So let's look at these muffins. Oh, yeah. Oh, these are pretty. Aren't those nice? and they smell fabulous, if I do say so myself. Can't wait to have one of these with a glass of milk. So what we're going to do is we're going to just let these sit in here, maybe 10 minutes, just to get them kind of cool and away from the pan so that I can take a spatula, get underneath, take them out, and let them cool the rest of the way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was fun. That's my first cooking video I've ever done. So hopefully I'll get better as it goes and I won't poison anybody. You guys, I really appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe. I just added a subscribe button. That's hard to say, isn't it? I just added a subscribe button that you can click if you're interested in more videos. I'd love to talk to you guys and learn what you've learned to recycle in your kitchen and what you're working on for your spring garden. And I look forward to seeing you again. Don't forget to start saving your egg containers, your paper bags, anything that's cardboard like that, just paper, nothing shiny. And we're going to work on that in the next couple of days, okay? You guys, I hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you later.